How do you think someone becomes like a huge politician?
Here's what I will say, and I don't mean to come off as conceited. I could crush it.
I wonder how much advantage you would have with our little podcast. How big of a leg up does that give you?
A huge disadvantage. I said I was going to your earlier. Like, I'm done. Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
I'm so excited to spend an hour with my favorite guy.
You got me for an hour.
Grown man.
Yeah.
And we're going to chat like no one's listening. And I want us to stay very true to that today.
Fair enough.
We actually might get into like a real tender subject for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But first of all, is anyone listening?
Yes. This is from Kay Lacey over on Apple.
All right.
Always listening.
Love that.
When I'm listening to you two, I'm not listening to anyone else.
Thank God.
Just ask my family. AirPods in, don't bother me while I take in the conversation and banter with Elizabeth and Andy. I love your humor. Your laughter is the best. Honestly, and clear love for each other. Oh, I think she likes our honesty. How does she know we're being honest?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I think you can sense it.
I'm here because of Monica.
Oh, I can't reach it. Monica's now become like such a close friend of mine that it almost feels weird to see her as a saint.
Really?
Because she is our saint still. Obviously, she's like our patron saint.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like I know her on a whole different level. Like I might go on a trip with her.
Whoa. Hold on. You're going to go on a trip with her?
Yeah.
Have you guys already talked about this?
Uh-huh.
Well, how the fuck do I not know about this? Because I'm not invited?
No.
You guys have a bond that just Monica and I will never have, you know?
I think you two have also a bond.
I know we have a special bond, but like you guys get to text sometimes when I'm not on the thread and probably don't think anything of it if Andy's not on the thread.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where I get
don't
jealous.
give it a second goddamn thought.
I get jealous.
Okay.
Okay, getting back to this nice thing. Let's see if it says something nice about me in here. Okay. Now I can't get enough, which is why I joined your Patreon. Shout out that Patreon.
God bless you.
And Elizabeth, I know you know who joins since you said so. That's true. Elizabeth keeps a watchful eye on the Patreon.
I do, especially when we're talking shit about specific people. Like this month's episode, I'm going to share a story. And I think you might share a story where there are specific people who are going to be discussed. And you best believe I'm going to be keeping close tabs on who's joining up.
Okay. To wrap this one up, love your daily news, too. It's how I start each weekday by listening to you and nobody else.
That's called Nobody's News for anyone who hasn't checked it out.
Wow.
We're here every fucking day.
And thanks for doing all the plugs for us, Kay Lacey.
Yeah. Should we just have her, like, we'll pay her. What's that called? Where you pay and it's fake.
Like an affiliate program? Oh, no. Where you pay to get like fake reviews?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just called paying for fake reviews, right? Juicing the system.
Yeah, let's juice it.
Fucking
Have
it up.
you ever juiced anything?
Yes. Let me think.
Well, you taught me today how to juice something.
What?
Your dick. Just kidding. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, great.
But you did, really, let me tell you.
I did?
Yeah. You know, we're going to Paris and we booked flights and we've booked other stuff, but have been having a bit of a hard time finding the right hotel because we're a family of 4 and thus you need to get 2 rooms. And I really want to get 2 rooms connected.
Is that a European thing or something? They don't have as many.
It's a Paris thing. They just don't have the big space for 2 full beds, and like everything in France is kind of smaller.
Okay.
It's not like big America.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was funny. Big America.
So, but I was booking a hotel room and you said you have to get the rates that you can cancel. And I was like, why? We're already like dialed in on this trip. I mean, there's no world where this trip's not happening. Heaven forbid a real like horrific situation. Mm-hmm. And you said, because if you find something better or something like that, then you can cancel. And I was thinking, but it's not worth paying $400 extra or like $150 extra a night to get a flexible rate.
Okay.
And you were like, yes, it is. And in my mind, I was thinking it's almost like you're putting down a deposit that you don't get back either way.
No, it's fully refundable.
You explain. And then I said, how come people don't then book the room that's refundable? And then the day before you have to cancel, go and book the non-refundable rate and get your refund. So you essentially get to hold the room and get a non-refundable rate.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, well, I think people do that. And that's something we could do.
Yeah, if that rate's still available, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a possibility.
Very excited.
Speaking of the trip to France, there was one Spotify comment I wanted to see if you wanted to address, actually, which has to do with this. This is from Mindy. Question, if you feel like sharing, do you plan to tell your kids before the trip that moving there is a possibility? Or will they just think they're on vacation until you decide it's the right move? No wrong answers, just curious.
Okay. Let everyone learn from our parenting mistakes.
Yes.
This was a mistake. Where to begin? And I don't know how much context to give everything. I think everyone knows that things have been tricky for us and for me and feeling a little bit like shitty about the business and stuff like that. And also this real sense of, oh, if I don't have to live here because I'm working in Hollyweird, then why live here?
Right.
Now, I want to caveat that with, I don't think we're going to live anywhere else and have the same friends and like the amazing people who we love here so much and the creative community. There's so much to love here. It's mostly just a factor of it's untenable to afford to live here full time if you're not working full time, both people, parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not go live somewhere else if we don't have to be here to work and have kind of a better quality of life?
Yeah.
And then we were thinking, where else would we want to go? Like, why not go on a great big new adventure? And unfortunately, we were pretty open books about this, and we kind of were feeling the kids out. Now, they're 9 and 11, but we brought it up to them way too soon, and it was initially just kind of a dream, and then they'd overhear us talking to other friends, being like, are we crazy to think that we might want to go do this? And then, unbeknownst to us, especially our oldest, was talking to her friends at school about this.
Yeah, so we have then parents asking us or telling us, so we hear you're moving to France, in which we realized, oh, we need to
So the cart was really
back.
Ahead of the horse on this one, and we had to rein it back. And so then once we did that, it wasn't until like our tickets were booked that we told them that we're even going on a trip because we just like really made a mistake in
realized,
that. So I think they're aware, even if I don't want to make the whole trip at all about we might move here.
No.
And we've pulled that back so much that we said to them, like, look, we're not moving to France. But for the record, they both were excited about the idea.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel confident that if we did make the decision, they like the idea is not so foreign to them now that it would really be upsetting.
I agree.
Yeah, but don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't
wait
do
until things are a little firmer in place.
Yes.
You know, it's like the guy that introduces his kid to the new girlfriend, like a week into dating the new girlfriend. You gotta see how it shakes out first.
You gotta see how
you know
it shakes
what I mean?
out. Yes.
You gotta see if you like hitting this. You know what I'm saying?
Gross. Just let me milk your dick and or whatever, juice it.
Juice it. Yeah, I don't like to be milked. Only juiced.
Okay, should we get to
Gross. Juicing sounds gross to me. Sorry.
the real issue at hand?
Yeah, what is it?
I introduced something new into our lives this week that I think that the cost-benefit analysis weighs so heavily. Those scales, one's dropping to the side so swiftly.
And the new juicer we bought?
No, the new shoe cabinet.
Yeah, yeah. You want to talk about the shoe cabinet?
So we have a tiny little like nub of a hallway entry into the back of the house, like to go as into our kitchen. Go as?
I don't even know if you call that a hallway.
So there's a little vestibule, and it's where I have hooks for the kids.
Now it's a vestibule.
It is. And that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And I have hooks for the kids' backpacks. That's where they come in and hang the kids' backpacks.
You have hooks for the kids' backpacks.
Correct.
Who hung those fucking hooks?
I hung them.
On the bottom?
Yes.
Are you out of your mind? I reinforced those and I put those crazy anchors in.
Oh.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay. Well, there are hooks above those for the keys. I hung that.
Good for you.
And this is
we have hooks in the hallway for the kids' backpacks. I would have been fine with that, even though I did install them. But you saying when you didn't install them, that's not cool.
If I had my like druthers and we could really update the house, I would want to put in new floors, okay, so that the kitchen floor isn't different from the floors elsewhere. But I would want that little entry vestibule to be like slate tile.
Okay.
So it feels different.
Okay. It's irrelevant to the shoe
Well, I just want
cabinet.
you to have a sense of what I'm thinking.
Your dreams, yeah.
So we used to have a little stool there that the kids could use to get up in the cabinets and stuff or get something to eat if they wanted from the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone would just throw their shoes there because we're typically kind of a shoeless house. We're not like married to it. If we're like running in and out, that's fine. But if we're coming in to be a while, we take off our shoes. And Andrew, I love so many things about you, but one of the things I do wish I could change is your tendency to just take 2 steps in, take your feet out of the shoes and just leave them there like in the footprint so that the next person who comes in or out is inevitably going to trip on your huge shoes. It's been really a challenge. And so I got this cool and I measured it and I looked online for a long time and I got a great deal on this neat little cabinet. It had great reviews and it's a shoe cabinet. And
it's marketed as a shoe cabinet?
Well, that's what I searched.
Okay.
And it's now our cabinets are like a gray blue.
In the kitchen.
And then it would be like that's an extension of the cabinets into this little vestibule, except it's not because as you pointed out, it's white. Maybe it looks a little low rent, are the words you use.
Yeah.
But I took 2.5 hours of my day before spending a couple hours with you at the emergency room, putting this thing together.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy manual labor.
Yeah,
like,
you do.
I really like building things. I like gardening. I wish I knew how to like build houses. I really do.
Yeah.
I never did Habitat for Humanity, but that would have been so up my alley.
Just the building part, not the helping people part.
No, both. I mean, it's like a win-win. And it looks good on your college application. Oh, so anyway, I put this thing together and I put it there and all of our shoes go in it. Plus there's other storage. Plus there's I put our little cookbooks up on it. So it really looks so clean and nice, and it's cleaned up like other areas in our kitchen where it was cluttered. And I'm obsessed, and our daughter is obsessed. And I put a new kitchen rug out in the middle of the kitchen. Everything has been elevated so exponentially for a pretty low cost and a little sweat equity.
How much cost?
I can look up right now.
Where'd you order it from?
Amazon. Where else?
I don't know. Wayfair? Overstock.com, Cart and Barrel.
It's called a shoe cabinet.
Pier 1.
Oh my gosh. Wait, did I only buy it for that? Oh no.
Did it go down a lot in price?
No, I can't.
You could get a price match.
I can?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sad.
How much did it go down?
Oh, okay. It was $109.
Oh, that's pretty reasonable.
And it's like sturdy.
And how much is it now?
100.
Oh, okay.
It's it's sturdy. It does look like kind of an IKEA thing, but in terms of that, I think it looks pretty good.
Okay.
And it's changing lives and like making everything more harmonious. And it brings me joy every time I walk in. Now, 2 of us need to learn how to put our shoes under it.
Yeah, you got to do it with like your hands. It's kind of annoying. You can't just like slide them down into it.
You can.
Maybe like slippers, but not my regular shoes.
Okay. Well, anyway, Teddy was raving about it. And I still hadn't gotten any, granted, you had been in the emergency room for 8 hours, but the next day I was like, I hadn't gotten any love from you on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then you go, yeah, it's growing on me, which I was like, what? I didn't even know that you didn't like it to begin with. And you're like, yeah, well, when I first walked in here, I was like, it's kind of low rent.
Yeah.
And janky.
Yeah. Those were my initial thoughts. And just kind of looked out of place. And we have so much counter space and cabinets in our kitchen that it seemed like, why are we kind of adding this to that flow? But it's a different color and a different height. And it looked, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. But then I realized how practical it is. And then as I've lived with it, it's grown on me.
That's great. And so would you say you like it now, or would you prefer to go back to how it was?
No, I prefer this over the way that it was.
Oh.
I like the organized shoe look. I also like that it's a place for us to put the kids' lunch boxes.
Yes.
Which tidies up the kitchen quite a bit. So overall, a win. But I want to point out that maybe I am just an asshole. But you were so upset that I didn't give you this like, holy shit for this thing. But I mean, I'm allowed to have, I think, an opinion about this type of thing. Did I make a big mistake? Should I have been totally phony from the beginning? Is that the world you want to live in? Is me just being totally phony?
I'll tell you. And I went on a walk after that interaction. And I went through all of this. I was like, oh, sometimes it feels like you're so principled and not wavering from how you feel that you won't, like, even if you were like, you know what, but I do like it. And it would mean a lot to her. Hang on.
These gymnastics are so hard for a truly principled person, because I would never make any decisions just because I fancy myself principled, and that's what you're suggesting.
Okay.
It's offensive.
Okay. Here's the thing. On my walk, I was like, oh, he's so principled. He can't even give me just like a little, I'm going to say, generosity of spirit, knowing how much it means to me, knowing that I put the work into it. But then I thought, but that's also part of why I love him. Like in other scenarios, I like him to be friends.
Nobody knows what it's like when it's just the two of us. He's just real sweetie.
No. I'm thinking like, no, it's true though. That aspect of you.
Sure.
I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird.
Are you crying? Or are you laughing?
No, I'm laughing.
Okay.
It's really weird because this came up a lot with the cabin.
Yeah.
And now I also do think there is something to, and I said this to you, and I know that you don't think, I think I probably give more weight to this, and I think you give less weight to it than what it really is.
Yeah.
But that you have a hard time with change. That oftentimes just any change looks off to you. Mm-hmm. Which is also interesting because you don't notice a lot of things. So I don't know. But anyway, so sometimes it takes a minute for you to warm up to things.
Yeah.
You were really hesitant about like the plaid couch in our living room in the cabin.
That was just because of the price.
No.
You think the look and the patterns?
Yeah, you were like, is it going to be too much to have a plaid couch? Once it was in, you liked it, I think, in that case. I think you like a lot of the cabin stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that along the way when I was making choices and I was asking you about it, your default setting sometimes is...
Default means kind of all times, right?
No, but there are obviously exceptions. But what is bad about this? I'm serious. And that's a good thing. I think... But that's why I was thinking on my walk.
I feel bad that you do have to do these gymnastics to get yourself to this place of understanding me and putting up with it.
We have kind of the perfect storm, and here's why. I put so much weight. Now I might cry. Not out of sadness, but just, this is true. I require so much validation from you, and I put so much weight into your opinion in a way that's not reciprocated. And that's not bad. And it's actually on this walk, I was like, I need to work on that. Like, and I had to remind myself, like, how you used to live and stuff. Like, your bar of how shit should be is so low.
I love getting in the inside of how you justify all of this. Listen, he wouldn't even know what would be nice if it like fucking hit him across the face. You remember how he used to live? Come on, Elizabeth.
But no, the truth is I need to work on finding internal validation and not putting so much, if your response, you are entitled to your opinion. And I don't want you to change it for me. And so if that's your real response, and it always is, I need to find a way to be okay with myself and not like depend on your approval.
Sure.
And so that's kind of a growth journey I'm on. But I felt a lot better about it when I got back. And then, and now I hear that like it's grown on you. And that's great.
It's a bit of a win, maybe, right?
It's a bit of a win. Here's the other thing I want to say. I do really pride myself in trying to make our home really nice and keeping it clean and the way I decorate it and making like holidays nice and all of that stuff. And sometimes I do feel like it's a little lost on you.
Yeah.
And that's, it is what it is.
But I think the other thing is that you, especially if we're talking about the cabin, which was a much bigger project, right? It's not some stupid $100 shitbox cabinet that you got on Amazon, right? It was a much bigger thing.
Okay.
That I think that also was a lot more weighted because I really did love the look of everything. But I think that you also needed to feel a little bit more appreciation for the amount of time that you put in, which I would agree that's something like I probably need to be more cognizant of, right? I think it's a lot more of like, one, respect your keen eye, right?
Thank you.
But two, like, does anyone appreciate how much effort I put into this?
Right.
Which that makes a lot more sense.
I really appreciate that. So,
but is that the correct take, would you say?
I think so, and this kind of goes to like the invisible work. I feel like a lot of women, and I think I do a lot, and I know you do a lot of invisible work too. But it's like right now, like making sure all of our passports are up to date, doing a global entry and doing all of our finances and doing and like getting decorations and planning for birthday parties and planning for holidays, like all of this stuff, which I genuinely, for the most part, enjoy doing. But it is work to make our life feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And so I think it is kind of the appreciation of that. Now, I do want to apologize to you about the cabin.
Why?
We got into a pretty big argument when we were listing the cabin for sale.
Oh, one of the biggest arguments we've ever gotten in.
Because you suggested it it should be listed at a price that I found so offensive and was like, now I just want to say the cabin hasn't sold. We're so underwater in it because I put so much effort and time thinking it was a forever place for us. And I decorated it with it's so gorgeous. I mean, on the inside of the cabin, it is perfection. And I got a lot of the validation I needed from like friends and stuff who were like, this is like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But you suggested a price to list it at to sell. And I was like, how dare you? And also you were saying like, I don't think it's going to sell for a while. And I was like, how dare you? Anyone would want to snatch this up. Well, here we are.
10 months later?
10 months later. I will sell it for, if it, I shouldn't say that.
Do you remember the price that I had in my head that was so offensive to you?
No.
You don't?
Do you?
I think so.
Is it the one I'm like, I hope that's what we sell it for?
No, I think it's less than that.
Okay.
We were in such a big fight about this that there was a part of me that wanted to write in an envelope the price that I had in mind and seal it. Because I was like, I'm not crazy. And it's not that I felt so confident about it, but once you were so upset at me about it, I was like, why can't I just have my gut feeling and what I think it is? You were like, you're wrong.
It was because for me, it's tied to this emotion.
I get it.
where for you, you're just like looking at it practically and also doing a protective thing of going like very kind of conservative, like kind of like what would be a bad, like not ideal scenario, but that I could live with.
Yeah.
And I want to apologize because that reaction was super overblown. It was very emotional for me. It was not fair to you.
Mm-hmm.
You were right. You know, I don't know if you were
I don't know if
right,
we're
but
right.
you
I
were,
don't think either of us
you weren't
were
wrong.
That's the thing.
Okay.
I think the reason, and this might get to my quote principled nature, is I couldn't understand why you were so maybe I understood why you were so upset about it, but I couldn't be phony about what I really thought. And I think that's what upset you. Here's an analogy. Let's say we were at the county fair and there was a guess how many jelly beans are in the thing.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy's like, how many jelly beans do you think it is? And I have this number in my head and this is just what I think it is. I've looked at the thing a little bit and I stick with it. And then you're like, there's no way. And I'm like, no, I think that's what it is. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
My personality, I can't change it.
Yeah.
Where even though you're like, but I've stared at this jelly bean jar for 3 times as much as you, which is a valid thing to say. But I still can't, in my head, I still can't be phony and be like, yeah, but I still think it's this. That's just what I think.
That's another element of this that I forgot. During those conversations, I had done a lot more research about like the market and comps and what I thought it could be listed for. And that's another area of contention is when I think I have a lot more knowledge. But Andy, it's interesting because what was it that we were watching and the guy was like, it's just what's in my head.
Yes.
Sometimes that's how it comes across, where you're just like, it's my gut. And to me, it kind of is below your intelligence level to just stick to your gut at all costs when someone who is an astrophysicist is explaining something to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I actually think this.
But here's the thing with the big jar of jelly beans.
Yeah.
Neither of us actually know. Now,
Neither of us are
think
experts.
you know,
right?
But as it turns out, my gut was a little bit maybe more dialed in than maybe what the student who studies knew.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm tapped into vibes and
universe
and you are
vibes. Really
annoyingly
good at guessing numbers and stuff, which is very frustrating sometimes. But ultimately, I'm not saying either of us were right or wrong about the number. And I think we were both wrong.
Yeah, at this point, I really hope it doesn't sell for the number I have in my mind. That would be a bummer.
I think we're good. But I think that my emotion was like making my reaction very outsized. And I apologize for that.
So how did we get here? Oh, the shoe cabinet.
Yeah.
It's really grown on me, to be honest.
Yay.
And it's nice it's hard to get into the habit of putting the shoes in there, though. I will tell you that, as it's been for me and our son.
Yeah.
You know.
But
we'll get there.
You'll get there. Oh, well, do you want to talk about the emergency room since I mentioned
it? Not really. We did talk about it on Nobody's News, right?
Yes. And all is well now.
All is totally well. I had a weird thing with my face swelling up, but we do talk about it on Nobody's News.
Yes, that was Tuesday, the 22nd of April's Nobody's News episode.
Okay.
What a great teaser.
What a great teaser. I really want to hear about your new financial friend that you teased to me the other day.
Oh my God. Okay, I can't say her name, so I'm going to give her a different name. Let me set this up. I made you record something when we were doing Nobody's News, and I was like, I want to actually save this. Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. I just moved a bunch of our stuff to a new financial institution. Now, I was at this, like our retirement and college accounts and stuff, which, are nothing to write home about, but they are there.
Yeah.
Have been in this place for 15 years, and I've never talked to a singular human being.
Yeah.
Like I get a call once a year, and it's like, hey, I'm little, and I like kind of vaguely know the names, but I've had no reason to talk to anyone.
Got it.
But I was paying fees as though someone was like helping me out.
Right.
So I moved to a new place that has very few fees, and to my shock, I was assigned like a human being.
Okay.
Who literally was like, I'm your one-stop shop for everything.
For what?
Well, Not much. I don't think there will be much initially after the transfer, but getting everything transferred, especially like the college 529s and stuff, is
Okay.
a bit of a headache.
So it's like college funds and retirement funds.
Yes.
Okay,
And
this is what they do.
That's what they do. But
Okay.
this gal, and I'm chatting with her and I hear her kids in the background and she's like, oh, sorry, the kids. And I was like, I'm in the same boat. And I just really had a connection with her.
Yeah.
But then something interesting happened, and not bad, but confusing. And I want you to play the clip. Right.
So you want to call this lady, who is some sort of bank lady,
Well, wait,
and you want to say, hey, let's call her Lydia or Linda. I like Lydia. Linda. Okay. Hey, Linda, it's been so great talking to you. Thank you for helping set up this account. Can I get your opinion on something?
Yes.
Like, I'm going to France this summer.
You know what, Andy?
Yeah.
I almost feel like we should take this out because this is so fucking crazy.
Okay.
This should be on Nobody's Listening.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the thing. Linda did something that I'm confused about. Now, she has my info, she has my email, and I'm wondering if she looked me up. Is she listening right now, maybe? If so, hi, Linda. I think you're great. Because you said, oh, we're going on this trip to France. She's texting me. I'm putting the transfer requests in. I'll let you know when they're done. Great.
Nice.
I want so much to speak French with you, but cannot do to record.
Hold on. That is the next text.
Uh-huh.
Do me a favor and go 2 texts back if it is fine to share, not financial information.
Sure. Well, I was asking about the name of one of the accounts,
okay.
And she said you can find nicknames in your profile
Great.
under preferences. I'm putting in the 2 transfer requests. I'll let you know when they're done. Great. I want so much to speak French with you, but can't due to something.
Due to what?
Recorded lines.
What? She said that?
If you speak it slowly, I will listen fast.
What?
And I said, haha, merci.
What the fuck?
And then she said, I have checked on the removal of restrictions on this account. I'm going to give it another business day, blah, blah, blah. And then she wrote, j'ai étudié le français il y a 30 ans, donc si vous parlez lentement. So it's basically then, for the record, the translation is, I studied French 43 years ago. If you speak slowly, I will listen quickly. And I said, in French, ah oui, je l'adore, ma famille et moi y va pour l'été cette année. And then we get back to stuff.
What the fuck?
Now, here's the only thing that I can think is the name LAIME, like LAIME in French.
This isn't a French lady, though. She just says she studied it 43 years ago?
But she came to me, and to her, the first thing she said is, I want so much to speak French with you.
That's where I'm freaking out. Yeah, that's, I know that. That's what's insane.
Did she listen to this podcast?
Hold on. Are you 100% sure that, because you said you talked to her on the phone.
Yeah.
Did you mention anything about oh yeah, we're hoping to go to France this summer or something? And if so, did she acknowledge it then? Because this seems so wild that in your text thread, I so much want to, and then I can't because of recorded lines.
Maybe I did, but I don't think, I was in finance mode. I wasn't in.
Can we give this lady a name? Because I need
Linda.
Okay.
I wonder if maybe I did. And maybe I was oh, but none of the France money would have anything to do with this stuff.
What France money? What? There's no world. What would you even be talking about money-wise with her about France? That makes no sense.
I don't know.
How much small talk do you have with this Linda? Linda or Lydia?
Linda.
Sorry. It's not even the
Get
real
her name.
name.
She's my new best friend. No, I really like her a lot. And I have to say this because even now I'm getting nervous that she does listen, and we've been here before. would love to know that she listens, first of all.
Mhm.
And second of all, like, so happy to have her.
Yeah.
It's made it such a smooth process. She's wonderful. And I don't want this to be off-putting.
Well, Lydia, if you are listening, I'm sorry for the thing I'm going to say next, because I just got to put this out there as another possibility.
Careful.
What if Lydia, it has nothing to do with her knowing you're going to France, and this is just like a thing, a compulsion that she loves to speak French, but she's been reprimanded so many times that they now record her calls. They surveil her because
all
it's like
the calls
she
are
can't
recorded.
She can't do that because, Lydia, we know how much you love to speak French.
No, because then she would be like, do you by any chance speak French?
Wow.
I want to. It must have to do with my name.
No. No one knows that your last name's French, especially not someone that's not French.
No, French people know M.A. is a very common word in France, and le, I mean, an L apostrophe M is very common.
Yeah.
Lem, the lugs, you know.
Okay.
I really regret not going, and like I couldn't go back now and go, just out of curiosity, like why did you think I spoke French?
Well, maybe that's what you're doing right now. Hopefully you will get an
Maybe
answer.
I'll get to the bottom of it. But then you brought that up on Nobody's News, and I was like, what the fuck? That is so crazy.
Now, what did she say in French? It was just that I'd studied there.
Yeah, and so if you speak slowly, I can understand. She understands really well.
I don't know. This is really bonkers to me. Like really bonkers to me. You don't seem that thrown by
Well,
it.
I've had time to like think about it, and
And where'd you land?
I'm delighting on your reaction. I'm now thinking like, oh, she maybe went and checked out the podcast, and I don't know.
Okay.
But I also, of course, because I've looked for this and everything, I'm like, oh, it's another sign that like France is good.
Yeah,
For us.
I like that. I'm fine
It's even
with that.
coming out in my texts with her financial person.
Now, this is like a reputable place, right? This isn't just like this wasn't someone that solicited you out of the blue, is it? Because
Well,
that would be a little worrisome if like you just got a phone call and this is
no,
your new
I
financial
didn't get a
advisor.
phone call. It was one of those flyers in the mailbox.
You're fucking with me, I can tell. Wow. I'm really thrown.
Okay.
Okay, my God. Where do we go from here?
Okay, so I have become very politically active against my will because I'm trying to get a goddamn crossing guard at this intersection. And so I went to the city budget meeting.
Oh, yeah, you're in it.
And then I went to the city council open house hours. And first of all, let me say, not that many people go to these things. Which first of all, I was like, that's interesting. So it does give you a sense of power to go and speak to these people and have like, they actually have to hear you. And it makes sense why people who show up at stuff like do make a difference.
Yeah.
So that was a good reminder, but it's such a pain in the ass to just like get to these things that you have to sit through it. Basically, everyone's just complaining about shit. And our city's budget is really bad right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be pretty bad for a while.
Yeah.
But I do feel I'm really glad this woman, Katie, I think Yaroslavsky, who is the city councilwoman for the District 5 here, is head of the budget committee. And she like knows her shit. And she explained why the budget is what it is, how it got here, how it could be more efficient moving forward, like what changes could take place. And I'm very inspired by her long-term vision, but the short term is like pretty sucky.
Yeah.
One thing that was said in one of these that I've really kind of thought about a lot, and I want to hear you speak to it, is this phrase of, like, you should never let a good disaster go to waste.
You should never let a good disaster go to waste. I bet this is a very political type saying, because in that arena, it makes a lot of sense.
It does, but I think it can be applied to like life. Because look, everyone's life, and also it kind of depends on how you view things. I think there are people that have very minor things happen, and to them it's the biggest disaster ever. I mean, I think we all do that on some level, and the
Yeah.
truth is, like, most things in life that seem problematic are not as big of problems as we think they are.
What is the similar expression, like, don't let their death be in vain or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that the right?
That's a little different to me, but yes, I mean, it's an idea of like, don't not try to make good out of something bad that happened. Right?
Got it. I mean, like an obvious one I'm thinking of politically would be there's a tragic shooting or something. So let's make sure that we don't like ignore this because there might be enough awareness right now to make change about gun laws.
Yes,
Using
and then
that as an
actually,
example,
but the
right?
other side will say that is so horrific that you would politicize this event. And it's like, we're just trying to make sure it doesn't happen again.
But another side could also, using guns as an example, say, hey, this tragedy wouldn't have happened if other people had guns. And like, so both could have said it, right? But like,
yeah,
that kind of outlines the idea of this saying for both sides of the equation.
Right. Yes, exactly. But I also think it's interesting to apply to life.
Give me a smaller example, like in our life, I guess.
Oh, well, there's one playing out right this very moment.
In this room?
In this room.
Okay.
Which is that you and I now do 6+ podcasts a week and are loving it and having a lot of fun. And our aim is to like make a living out of doing this. And if anyone wants to join our Patreon, it's at patreon.com/nobodyslisteningright. But I don't think I know we wouldn't be doing this if I had continued working the way I was. If you, like some of the projects that weren't released for you were, and you were like still being pulled into sessions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Both things that sucked for us and were frustrating, me not getting staffing jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have made so much incredible music with artists that it just sits on shelves and it's such a frustrating thing.
That's very sweet.
We have no agency over this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Had those kept like us getting breadcrumbs of that, I don't think we would have, I know we wouldn't have thought, what if we do a podcast every day?
Yeah, I get that. I like that analogy, sort of. It feels more like life is throwing you these new paths. Are you paying attention? It feels a little bit like that to me as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
Let's come up with a smaller example even.
Okay.
I just want to test your thesis. Let's say you break the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you put metal in it.
Oh.
So now the microwave doesn't work.
I wouldn't do that.
What is the great thing that happens? What do we not ignore about the microwave?
Here it is. This isn't that little. Sorry.
We're eating less microwavable food?
You know, my parents, we went to Ireland and my parents' house flooded because the toilet upstairs cracked. It was horrific and so frustrating. I mean, imagine coming home from an international trip with 2 kids.
Imagine coming back from Ireland.
Imagine. And the maid hasn't been there. And the butler,
left the
apparently.
toilet on. Oh, my goodness.
You drive up in your Rolls Royce. And anyway, no, really. Different scenario where everyone's tired and cranky and you get home from a modest but wonderful trip. And you walk in and your house is ruined.
Okay.
Guess what my mom did?
Made
the house of her dreams.
Out of lemons.
Got that insurance money, baby. And got to get excited and pick out wallpaper and...
that one doesn't work at all.
Okay.
Because now I'm starting to... I was just joking about making that voice, but now it is starting to feel like a real privileged perspective, sort of.
Oh.
Because think about people whose lives they're having a fucking rough time over and over, can't catch a break.
Yes.
I don't think hearing this, like, don't make sure not to try to make lemonade out of lemons would feel good to hear.
You're absolutely right. It's all about perspective.
Now, getting back to politics for a second, though, you seeing a little bit of our local politics.
Yes.
And then since we do Nobody's News now, we're covering a lot more politics. We're just like, it's on the brain a lot more than, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to these meetings and maybe there aren't that many people, or you're also seeing the cast of characters that is smaller local LA politics.
Yes.
Does it make you think like, okay, you always hear like start local, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make you think, oh, that's a hard path to do? Say you wanted to be a career politician.
Mm-hmm.
And the question I'm trying to get to is,
yeah,
how do you think someone becomes like a huge politician?
here's what I will say, and I don't mean to come off as conceited. I could crush it. Like seeing who now, LA City Council is incredibly
Competitive?
well, it is competitive. I mean,
Okay.
you have to do serious fundraising. You're getting a lot of votes. So it's local, but it's also the city council is incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a city council and there's mayor's office. I can definitely see that being kind of if you become a very popular city council person and you become more visible, like this Katie from CD5, Yasislavsky, I think is her name.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I could see her being our mayor someday.
Right.
But then there are also other city council people that like Kevin DeLeon, who we used to have, was
Okay.
very charismatic and good at fundraising and good at getting an horrible, like total dud.
Right.
And in terms of doing stuff. And then there are other people I think who genuinely want to get stuff done, but kind of come across as like kind of duds.
Okay.
I feel like if we didn't have the podcasts and if there weren't thousands of episodes of me disqualifying myself as a politician,
Yeah.
I think, not to say I think I could be like a senator or anything, although maybe I could. I'm like, I think I could be in the city council. I do.
I could definitely see you on the city council, but it's like, could you be run for a House of Representatives? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yeah. House, please.
but like those paths for some people, or I'd be curious to look at the paths of a bunch of presidents if you look at their resume.
Yes.
Like, I do think it's a kind of thing like actors and big musicians. No one has the same path ever.
Right.
Right. And so much of it is making a name for yourself, literally, like making it so people recognize your name.
Well, you and I have talked about this. Musicians, to become like a huge pop star, let's say, you do have to have a certain amount of, now this word carries a lot of negativity, but in this case, I mean it like not in a negative way. You do have to be a bit of a, what's that called? Narcissist, where you are kind of like hyper focused on your own success. And in a way, it's not like the ultimate thing is not narcissistic because I think you're bringing a lot of people with you. It's kind of a community, but it's all about you, right?
Right.
I feel like if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard. And I feel like in politics, you have one of two things, kind of the same thing, or you genuinely are there to help people and be of service.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's like going to necessarily grow you the way you need to grow. Now, ideally, those politicians who are kind of narcissists also like to be of service because, you know, whether or not that's just because it helps them be more popular or what, I don't know. But it's really, I do feel like I've seen a little bit behind the curtain. And the other thing is, at both of these events that I went to within the last week, so I've spent a good amount of time doing this shit. And now I like know the employees of our city council person's office, and some of them, I'm like, I could see them. That's a stepping stone. You know?
Interesting. Like that they got the goods, sort of.
They got the goods, and it's all fascinating. I'm also now very in with the neighborhood council of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. And I now am being put in touch with fellow journalists. I haven't even told you about this. There's some interesting things a brew.
Interesting.
But the whole political world, both of these meetings were mostly attended to by elderly, which makes sense
Yeah.
for a few reasons. One, they have time.
Yeah.
Two, they're a bunch of grumpy old bitches.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Kind of.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not completely kidding. Yeah.
they have issues just like I do, though. I mean, I have an issue. Everyone's issue is so important to them, and they're like, this is the most important thing ever, you know.
Yeah.
And three, they grew up in a time where you show up. Everything's not
Yes.
online.
Yeah.
And so the job to me now, even though I'm like, I think I could do it, I shouldn't say I could do it. I think I could get in. And then I think I could find a way to keep climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
The hard part of the job is the job.
It seems like a very hard job.
You're just getting complained at all day. And right now there's no budget. So like, it's like, okay, well, I'm very sorry that there's a lot of graffiti, but if I take money away from like foster youth services and put it towards cleaning up graffiti, then foster youth are going to be like without, you know, their essential needs, you know. So what is it?
Yeah, totally.
It's tough.
Fuck, it's like you want to help so much, but that job at that level, it must be so hard.
I think it's really hard, really stressful. And I really admire anyone who does it with like grace and courage and truly has good intentions.
Well, that's similar to, I was thinking about this when I was at the emergency room. Just when you're at an emergency room, there is so much waiting involved, right? And it can get frustrating. But it's like, fuck, these people, God bless them that they're even doing this.
Yeah.
And everyone here needs something from them.
Yes.
But they have to figure out a way to prioritize people and whatnot. And that must feel so hard and hard to navigate.
Yes.
God.
And it's urgent by virtue of, you know, what they're there to do.
It must be frustrating also for politicians for when like celebrities do come in and get involved. I mean, obviously best example being a Trump, but like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's governor. Like it must be kind of weird to be like, fuck, these people are skipping the line. I put in so much blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of those people that put in the blood, sweat, and tears, that's actually not their route to keep, to rise to those levels maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I bet that is frustrating. But they all have to play the game.
You must get so jaded once you're in the system, too.
I think you just get so jaded. And it's interesting, having been really involved on like this past week, right after this massive budget cut came out, that's going to affect every department except the police, of course, which I have strong feelings about. I don't think we need, 2 days ago, there was like a mugging. And it required multiple cop cars and a helicopter. I'm like,
probably don't need the chopper for that one.
Don't need the chopper for that. And don't like wake up all the children in the neighborhood with the low flying helicopter with its, I opened the door and the light was like beaming upon me as though I was about to get called to the mothership.
We also sound pretty jaded for you saying out loud, like, it's just a mugging. That's just any other day here. Do you know what I mean? It also points out how like
rough. Anyway, we're broken records. It's just been a very interesting dip into the political realm. Okay, can I say don't let a good disaster go to waste?
Yes.
The thing I took from this though is that you got to get scrappy when there's no budget and there's not really going to be resources or help.
Yeah.
What do? Well, you and your neighbors go clean up the graffiti. You and your neighbors figure out how you're going to make sure the kids cross to school every single day safely.
Yeah.
I do have hope that because I love our little community and we do have a really special community here, but like Parks and Rec, you might be coaching basketball because the program for the basketball teams is gone next year.
Yeah.
And like, we all need to kind of come together and organize and take turns cleaning up the park and all of that stuff, which it's annoying and it's extra stuff and we don't have the time. But when everyone pitches in, I think there's something really beautiful that can come out of that.
Yeah.
So that's my...
Wow, look at you. You're becoming a little politician.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
Thanks. All right. Well, On that note, you can vote for me.
Yeah, 2026, or when are you going for it? When's your
Oh
bid?
yeah, 2026. I'm gonna start campaigning real soon.
I wonder how much like advantage you would have with our little podcast. How big of a leg up does that get you?
A huge disadvantage. I said I was gonna juice your dick earlier. Like, I'm done. I'm cooked.
No, you're not.
I'm
because
fully cooked.
what if you take like almost like the Trump approach where like nothing sticks to you and you're like, I would like,
Yeah, I was
and
joking.
it just gets your name out there more and more and more. And you have such a sweet face. And people will be like, that's the lady that said juiced his dick. And you're like, oh, come on.
Well,
you guys can't take a joke.
It is kind of like Trump in that you just overwhelm with and we do have 1,000 episodes or however.
There'd be some juicy
1,200
clips.
hours of me.
Yeah.
And so just like let the clips roll.
Yeah. Keep you in the conversation.
Maybe I will go for it.
I support.
Thank you.
I'll be the...
What's my catchphrase? She's not...
Don't let them juice you. Juice... No.
It's got to be something about lame.
Oh, that's fun.
She's not... It's not lame to vote for lame.
That's not it. That is not it at all. Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Nobody's listening, right?